Summary of Civil Disobedience by Henry David Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau starts civil disobedience by thinking about what kind of government works best. He says that he thinks the best government is one that rules not at all. From there, he asks his readers to think about what a permanent government like the one the US has now is for. He says that, just like a standing army, a standing government can be used to further the goals of a few wealthy people instead of the goals of all Americans. Thoreau then criticizes the American government for its part in making things worse and for not doing a very good job of running the country so far. He says that the American people, not the American government, are to thank for all of the country's victories. Thoreau then makes his first appeal to the readers. He says that he and his fellow citizens need a better government instead of the bad one they have now. He says that the power to rule lies with the people, so the American people must take back their ability to think and act for themselves as men first and subjects second. Thoreau tells his listeners to think carefully about the law and how it can lead to injustice. He says that people who want justice must risk breaking the law and becoming bad citizens. Even if the government sees them as enemies because of this, Thoreau says there is no other way to move forward. That is, the state is abusing its power so much that no one can in good faith support this government, especially since it protects slavery. Thoreau tells his audience that they have the right to rebel against a tyrannical government. He says that it is right and just to get rid of the machine of any government that oppresses, steals, and uses slavery. Even though Thoreau uses William Paley's writings as a counterpoint to his case in Duty of Submission to Civil Government, he ends up disproving Paley's idea that you shouldn't fight the government if it will be an inconvenience to the public. Thoreau's answer to those who disagree with him is short: people should always try to do what's right, even if it's hard or dangerous. He says that the people should say no to slavery and stop the war in Mexico, even if it means breaking the country apart. From there, Thoreau turns his attention to the people of Massachusetts. He thinks that they are not ready to pay for justice. He criticizes the people of Massachusetts for caring more about business and farming and for not doing anything to stop the Mexican-American War or end slavery. Thoreau also says that they are not doing enough to make change because they mostly write the government or vote. He points out that none of these formal ways to end slavery and the war work. He says that voting is just a way to show how little you want something to happen. Thoreau is worried that people think these ways of making change are worth it. He wonders why Americans are so passive and odd in general. Thoreau admits that he doesn't think people should make it their life's goal to fix all the wrongs in the world, but he still says that people have a responsibility to at least reject an organization that does wrong things. This makes him say even more bad things about asking the government. Thoreau doesn't understand why people are asking the state to break up the union when they can do it themselves. He says that guys shouldn't just be able to say what they think by petitioning. They should instead take steps to make that view come true. Thoreau tells his audience of what's at stake and argues that they should try to change the unfair laws because, contrary to what most people think, it's better to fix a problem than to keep making it worse in the name of patriotism. He says that breaking the law is the only way to do bad things without making them happen. Thoreau says again that these things can't be done through the government. Instead, he asks the people of Massachusetts to stop giving their person and property to the government of Massachusetts. He says that slavery would end if just a few honest men stopped giving money to the government by not paying taxes and going to jail. Thoreau wants a change, and one way to make it happen is for people to refuse to pay taxes, collect taxes, or work for the government. Thoreau also talks about how hard it is for rich people to disobey the law. He says that people who have a lot of money and property to lose will always be more loyal to the institution that guards them and their property. This makes Thoreau think about the problems and risks that come with civil disobedience, such as going to jail, losing property, and not being protected by the government. But he says that the only way to get out of this situation is to count on yourself and avoid wealth. Thoreau then talks about how he has tried to do things that are against the law. He talks about how he has not given money to a church group and has not paid a poll tax. He went to jail because he didn't pay the poll tax. He spent a night in jail with another prisoner who was there because he was accused of setting a barn on fire. Thoreau was thrown off by the event, and he thinks about how it gave him a new perspective. He has a better understanding of the place he has lived for most of his life and a new way of looking at the things around him. After being locked up, he starts to be suspicious of his neighbors. They seem like weak people who are so afraid of taking risks that they don't care about doing what's right. Thoreau goes back to the topic of civil disobedience and says that not paying your taxes is the same as not being loyal to the state. As a citizen, he says he has the right to look at the state's actions when tax collectors come to him and, depending on how righteous the state's actions are, refuse or agree to pay what they ask. Thoreau says that people should look at what the government does from a higher vantage point, one that gives them some distance from the government so they can nakedly behold it. He says, for instance, that people shouldn't follow the Constitution just because it was the first law in the country. They should instead look for pure sources of truth to find answers to the most important moral questions of their time. Thoreau ends his speech by telling his audience that for a government to rule fairly, it must have the support of the people it rules over and see each person as a higher and independent power. He says that this is the key to a free, wise, and beautiful state that treats everyone fairly and with respect.
About the author. Henry David Thoreau was born in Concord, Massachusetts, on July 12, 1817. His father, John Thoreau, was a pencil maker, and his mother, Cynthia Dunbar. Before going to Harvard for his first year of college, he finished elementary school and high school in Concord. Even though he had health problems and ran out of money while he was an undergraduate, he finished with honors in 1937. Before he started working at his father's pencil business, he worked as a teacher for a short time. Thoreau went back to teaching when he and his brother opened a school in Concord in 1839. When his brother got sick 2 years later, they had to close the school for good. Thoreau had already started to show interest in different things, mostly nature and writing, by this time. Shortly after the school closed, Thoreau's neighbor, mentor, and friend Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was also one of the most important thinkers and philosophers of his time, asked him to live with him as a handyman. Thoreau became Emerson's casual student when he graduated from Harvard, but it wasn't until he moved in with Emerson for the next 2 years that he really learned from him. Emerson helped Thoreau get serious about writing, and he started getting some of his poems and articles out into the world. At the same time, he learned everything he could about transcendentalism, a way of life that stressed how important it was to put spiritual worries ahead of material ones. Later, Thoreau built a small house with Emerson's help on land that Emerson owned near Walden Pond. On July 4, 1845, he moved into the house. Over the next 2 years, he wrote his first 2 books and tried to follow transcendentalist ideas while living in nature. After he left the pond, he put out his books and had some success with them. Throughout the rest of his writing career, he wrote a lot about nature in his journals and kept releasing and revising essays about things that were important to him, like the abolition of slavery and how important it is to act in ways that are against the law. Thoreau died in May 1862. He had cancer.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.